Welcome to another episode of Rehab Now with consultant physiatrist Dr. Paula Dawson, our rehabilitation medical doctor. And I'm your host, Alicia Taylor. Hey, what's up, Doc?
Hi, Alicia. Can't match that vocals.
What? Come on, you surely can. What's up, listeners?
Your listeners trying to match your vocals.
I can hear them. I can hear them trying it. I love it. So, guys, today we're talking about upper and lower cross syndrome. As usual, I have no idea what these things are, but I probably have it. Because that's the trend now. But, anyway, remember to follow our social media pages on Rehab, on Instagram, Rehab Institute Caribbean, Dr. Paula Dawson, Alicia Taylor Music, and on Facebook, Rehabilitation Institutes of the Caribbean, and our website, rehabcaribbean.com. So, Doc,
yes.
Let's get started. Let me know if I have the upper and the lower cross.
Upper and lower cross syndrome. Okay, so upper cross syndrome, also called proximal muscular cross syndrome, and lower, is really a postural deformity or derangement. Let's not use the word deformity. It's a postural change as a result of different things.
Right.
And so upper cross syndrome is where, for example, when we're born with our chest straight, our shoulders back and down. You look at a child, their shoulder, if you're driving and your kid is beside you or you're sitting down, a child head.
Perfect.
Yes, their shoulders are back and down. Their chin is pulled back onto their neck. That is perfect. As we grow older, we start going forward. What will happen with that? You tend to have weakness in the neck muscles in the front. Your upper traps, which is just behind your head back, down the back of your head around here, so the upper part of your shoulder, your upper traps will start.
This is just the upper, it's not lower.
This is upper. So you get tightness in the traps. Your pectoralis muscles in the front get tight, so it starts pulling your shoulders forward. When it pulls the shoulders forward,
you get a little seat here?
Yes.
Okay.
And then the rhomboids, which are the muscles in the back that are supposed to pull your shoulders backwards, those and the lower traps will get weak. So essentially, a perfect posture is where your upper traps are not tight, so your shoulders are down, your neck is not pulling you forward, so your back nicely in terms of aligning the spine. So your chin is tucked in, not protruding forward. And your pecs are not pulling your shoulders forward. So when the pecs are tight, it gives you like a round shoulder.
Gosh.
When you get a round shoulder, you start getting what we call kyphosis or hunchback, where the upper thoracic spine kind of folds over into what we call a kyphotic posture. And that occurs because the muscles in the back, the rhomboids, as well as what we call the lower traps, are weak. And so with that weakness, you end up having rounded shoulders. Alice, I want to you.
Because you just there describe my life.
Rounded shoulders, tight pecs, your neck and stretch out or protrude like so, and your upper drops tight. That's upper cross syndrome from poor posture. So you want us to finish with the upper traps or go to the lower trap, the upper cross syndrome, sorry,
Finish
and then
go to the lower. Press me. Go ahead, finish the press me. Let's see what else.
I'm going to depress you.
Because I'm almost certain I've got the lower cross syndrome thing going on.
So the lower cross syndrome comes with somebody who's very sedentary, always sit down. So what will happen is your hip flexors, which are the muscles that make you bend forward, your hip flexors will get tight. What will happen when your hip flexors get tight? Your belly, your abdominals, and your core will get weak, so you get bang protruded belly.
Jesus.
Your glutes muscles in the...
We can end this program now. This is embarrassing.
Right. And so your glutes in the back will also get very weak, and then your lower back muscles will tighten up. So it's like an X. So front and back. So the pecs in the front tight, the glutes weak, the abs in the front weak, and the back tight. So that's why they call it cross syndrome.
Gosh, you look terrible. You just look terrible with all of that going on.
So it's poor posture. It is poor posture that causes the upper cross syndrome and the lower cross syndrome.
Yeah, but no, gravity start take effect.
Like that.
Yeah, so what me I gonna do if our gravity take over now? Me not have nothing more to do with it.
You see, I love the question. I love that what Alice is saying, because what will happen is when you stand for long or sit for long, when gravity is pulling you, when you're in that poor postural position, it causes joint pain and muscle pain. So believe it or not, if you were supposed to maintain your proper posture, gravity will have to conform to how you were made.
Really?
Creation, yeah. Because you're made perfect. Children, you ever see a child with neck pain or back pain?
My child is perfect. Jair is perfect.
Exactly. And so even with gravity, they maintain their posture. What happened with us is our sedentary lifestyle. What we do is our life is right in front of us.
Yeah.
The computer. So your shoulders are rounded. Your pecs are tight in the front. Your back, the rhomboids are the muscles between your shoulder blade. I should have probably said that.
Okay.
And the lower traps are the muscles between your shoulder blade. So those in the back get weak. Your neck go forward, so your neck is tight. The neck muscles in the front are weak, and the upper traps are pulling you up, so you're out of position. What happens when you're out of position? All the joints that are surrounded the cervical spine, which is the neck and the shoulder, are out of proper alignment. And so you can get shoulder joint pain that can lead to arthritis. They call it glenohumeral dysfunction.
Wait, okay, stop. God. Okay, so
arthritis.
Okay, so this can lead to arthritis?
Yes.
All right, I have to change my life then.
Because when you have things that are not properly aligned, you're going to have wear and tear on your joints.
Yes.
You have a little joint called the AC joint, not AC Marriott or air conditioner.
Wow. You know what?
The acromioclavicular joint, where the clavicle meets the acromion, which is a part of the shoulder blade. You can get arthritis in that joint. You can get arthritis and joint pain or dysfunction in your shoulder blade. And in addition to that, we spoke about this before, you can get rotator cuff syndrome.
Yeah, you can. Yeah.
Why you get rotator cuff syndrome is because the rotator cuffs, guys, are 4 muscles where the tendon will help to hold your upper limb on the rest of the body. So those are the things that kind of anchor your arm to your body. And so those tendons tend to glide under a little groove, the acromion in the shoulder blade. But when your shoulder bends forward and is protruded, you'll have impingement and you get shoulder pain.
Jesus.
But I'm not finished yet. There's other pain that you get. So the same poor tightness in the subocciput, which is right under your head back, and the upper traps, can give you a headache. Because up there is so tight, so it's pulling on, so your whole scalp tends to feel tender. Then you get trigger points in your trapezius muscles, which are the muscles above your shoulder. So between your neck and the outer part of your shoulder, those muscles are tight. Those are your upper traps. And you get knots. So you get pain in the muscles. I have had patients with pain in their pecs because they're always pulling forward. Right? And so you get pains in that. And then in the back, where you have the muscle between the shoulder blade, you get a whole heap of knot. I have a knot, a trigger point in my left rhomboids, which no matter what, cannot come out because of my poor posture.
Jesus, wait, God help. Because in my mind, I'm like, yes, all of this can be fixed. I'll be okay. But now you're telling me that there is a trigger point.
I have a point in my rhomboid that doesn't go away, but it can be treated, meaning it's latent. There's something called latent trigger. Latent meaning quiet sleeping. So it's there, but if my posture goes off, it kind of wakes up, and then there's a flare, and then I get that pulling in the muscle. So poor posture is what leads to all of this.
You know, when them tell us in school that you should have good posture, they don't actually tell us all of this information. Right. Otherwise, we would have just gone with the good. Yeah.
You'd have just sit up.
Would have just sit up for prevent rotator cuff syndrome and all kind of. I got that right?
You did actually.
Thanks. And all of them something there. Okay, so poor posture is the only thing.
I like this because I was just about to go there, but you went there for me.
All right.
So poor posture isn't the only thing. It's poor posture, weak muscles on one side, tight muscles on the other.
All right, we're done.
All right.
Let's just back up.
So there is some work. So there is work for you to do. Right?
Weak muscles because you're not exercising.
Weak muscles because you're not exercising. All right. And so the question is it the chicken or the egg? Which one comes first? The question is it because your muscles are weak, you're now getting a hunchback? Right? Is it because the muscles are weak that you're kind of having rounded shoulders and you're bending forward? Right? Or is it the posture that caused you now to no longer use those muscles? Because, like when you look at teenagers nowadays, and everybody's on their phone, and they're not allowing the muscles in the back to hold the shoulder blade up properly. So everybody's in the front. Similarly, lower cross syndrome, where we're always sitting down, and so when we sit down, or hip flexors, which are the muscles that kind of bend your hip, they get short. So when you try to stand up, because the hip is now tight, it causes your back to arch some more. So you get more lordosis. That causes your back muscles to keep firing, and so you get tension in those muscles. Then your hamstring has to work overtime. I mean, the biomechanics, or they call it the kinematics, is so amazing. Your hip flexors in the front are tight, and so it make your back arch some more, because you can't straighten up, because you sit down so long, you be always sitting down. So you ever try get up from sit down yet, you have to kind of walk, crouched over for a little.
Worst thing.
Exactly, which is why we say, do not sit for more than 20 minutes before you get up, and just, even if you get up and stretch for about
I do that.
10 seconds, 15, 30 seconds, you have to do that. So when you sit for too long, worse if you have a poor posture, your hip flexors get tight, causes your back to arch too much, so the back muscles start firing too much. When you start arch, guess what happens in the front? You get bang belly. Your belly protrudes. So the transverse abdominis muscle, which is that muscle that goes around,
all the way around, right?
That muscle is no longer holding you in, because your back is arched, so you bang out your belly. Jesus. And then the glute muscles in the back, which is supposed to hold you further up in a nice erect posture, gets weak. And so that's the lower cross syndrome. Tight hamstring, tight hip flexors, and then you get tight lower back. Weak glutes, weak abs. Right. And that's your cross syndrome. Lower cross syndrome. Again, poor posture. Poor posture. What will happen to this? It limits. There's so many things that happen in terms of symptoms when you have lower cross syndrome.
Pain.
Right. So we wanted to bring this topic together, because we're always talking about just the muscle, just the spine. So we talk about the lumbar spine, or we'll talk about the cervical spine, but we wanted to talk about a topic that kind of covers a function.
Yeah.
Covers the front and the back and the top and the bottom.
Because it covers you,
It does.
It really covers you. But
it does.
Okay, but we're gonna have to take a break, because I do need some encouragement.
Yes.
I do
and
need
there is
to
hope.
know. I do need to know the treatment, because with this, it cannot be this bad.
It is not.
So please stay with us.
Yes.
and wait for your treatment.
Yes.
Welcome back to Rehab. Now, if you're just joining us, we're talking about upper and lower cross syndrome.
Yes.
Upper and lower cross syndrome that me have.
You remember what it is? Tightness in your pecs, round up your shoulder.
All of these things because of poor posture.
Yes.
Right? I can't believe, let me tell you what really stuck in my mind. The arching of the back.
The lower back.
Yeah, the arching of the lower back.
Yes.
Causing this transverse muscle for just kind of lose it.
Let go.
Yeah, if you let it go, and then your belly does bang. And a lot of women feel as if them need to arch them back, because them tell us the arch back thing,
No. But you are supposed to, not so arch, you're supposed to pull your shoulder blades back. But I'm talking about arching of the lower back. You're not supposed to cock up your bottom.
That me a talk.
I'm sorry, can I say that on here?
Yeah, they do already. It's okay. But them like society kind of just encourages us to arch with lower back, push it, you understand, so that we have a higher bum, but we're not realizing that we are mash up this transverse muscle, and we don't know no strength around here, so that's why I will our belly bang.
And interestingly, when you arch your lower back too much, we increase the lordosis. So our center of gravity, where the gravity pulls along our spine, is just anterior, just in front of the first lumbar vertebrae. So so we have an equilibrium. We have a imagine if you know what a plumb line is? Like when people building and they want a straight line, they'll tie a string with a stone on it or some weight, and that's a plumb line. And that's a perfectly straight line because gravity will pull it down. So if you were to drop a plumb line from, you see that little part in front of your ears, that little pointy part, they call it the tragus. If you are supposed to drop a plumb line from your tragus, it will pass through your center of gravity. That's a perfect equilibrium. And it just passes just by in front of the first lumbar vertebrae. It goes behind your knee, goes in front of your knee a little bit, and then down through your ankle. But when you start leaning forward, now imagine gravity is now pulling you forward. The back will have to work more to kind of pull you back up. All right? And so cross syndrome, guys, if you're just joining us, in the upper body is where your pecs are tight, which is the chest muscle, the breast muscle, pulling you forward, rounding up your shoulder, and then opposite to that in the back, your shoulder blade muscles, the rhomboids and lower traps, those are weak. And then your neck muscles are weak, your cervical muscles are weak in the front, and then the upper traps right under the back of your head, your subocciput muscles, those are tight. So you have weak, tight. That kind of throws off your posture. So your neck protruded like that, which is not ideal, because what will happen? All the muscles will have to work harder to hold you up, because you're kind of... Suppose we're supposed to walk and lean forward. Can you imagine after a while how much your back will hurt?
Yeah.
Similarly, when we sit for too long, or hip flexors tighten. Tighten up causes your back to arch. And so the back muscles are always firing, right? It will give you groin pain. Groin pain in your groin. Yeah, man, you can get pain in your groin. And so the buttocks muscles get weak. You can get bottom pain as well. Pain in the buttocks.
I didn't even know that was a thing.
Yes.
I did not even know.
Yeah, so you get tension in your lower back and then tension in your buttocks. So you get a lot of discomfort, a lot of pain. But there's hope.
Thank God. Please, make we just start upon the hope.
All right.
I'm stressed. How do we treat?
All right, so for me, the first treatment is prevention. And it is, if it's as a result of poor posture, then you have to maintain good ergonomics, good posture. So the first thing, look at your kids from now. Everybody, you need to take the phones away from the kids sometime. I know I'm sure a little, a teenager or somebody listening to this and say, Mommy, don't listen to that doctor.
Turn off that program.
You have to take the phone from them sometime, because they're always like this. Yeah, so maintain posture. You have to take a break. In fact, there's an app you can download on your phones called Stretch Break. So what it does is it will break whatever it is that you're doing on the phone every half an hour, and it will give you like a 30-second stretch routine. Turn your head to the left, turn your head to the right, look up, look down, or different kind of stuff. I tell people, if you're at a computer and you have to do a lot of work, put the app on your phone, or put the app on your computer. If you can't put the actual app with the exercise on the computer, then put your watch or your phone to alarm if you have a smartwatch, and you have the exercise sheet right beside you. So you stand up and you do your stretches. So the first thing is you want to break that continuous poor posture, right? So you want to break that. So you don't want the chin to be protruded, right? The next thing you have to do, and the same thing for the lower body as well, you have to stretch. Lotion is motion. You have to move. If you don't move, you won't move. So you have to stretch. So you have to stretch eventually. Stretch out your pecs, stretch out the tight muscles in the upper body. Sometimes stretching alone can't do it, meaning your own stretch. So you may need to get somebody from the rehab institute.
That's what I was going to ask you. That is what I was going to ask you.
To help to stretch you, or a massage therapist to help to stretch you. And then after that, then we're going to have to strengthen every single muscle that is now weak. So for the upper body, we'll strengthen the muscles in the back, between the shoulder blade, right? We'll stretch out the pecs in the front. We'll strengthen the cervical muscles, which is the neck muscles in the front, so it brings your neck back. And then we stretch out the upper trap, so you're no longer, your shoulders not pulled up in the air. So your shoulders will be down and back, pecs stretched out. So one of the things I like to tell my patient, okay, what can I do when I'm driving? Well, you need to keep your hands on the steering wheel. But when you're at the traffic light and your foot is safely on the brake, you can bring your both shoulders back and pretend as if you're putting your elbow in your back pocket. Get that? So try to put your elbow in your back pocket. So the first thing you have to do is bring your shoulders back, both shoulders back, and then down. Because when I tell people to do bioscapular retraction, which is the opposite of protraction. So protraction is when your shoulders rounded and lean and coming forward. So you want to retract the shoulders. But when people retract or pull your shoulders back, they tend to go up. That's not good. So because you're going to make the upper traps tighter, so I always say back and down. So try to put your elbow in your back pocket. So if you're standing against a wall, try to bring your shoulders back against the wall and then down to your heels, down to your foot bottom.
That hurts.
Because you're tightened at the front.
Terrible.
Right. And so that's just one thing. Of course, the physical therapist will do a lot more than that. And if we need to do an ergonomic evaluation, we'll do that. And that's for the upper body. The question is, how will this help me? Well, it will give you a better range of motion, because even your shoulder, if you're a painter, or if you're a teacher at a school and you write a lot on the board, or if you do a lot of overhead activity, that will now loosen up your shoulder joint, so you have better range of motion and less risk of injury of the shoulder. Yeah. So similarly, in the lower back, you have to stretch the hip flexors.
And again, you can't just get up and say I got stretch.
You canish. You can, sort of. What do you mean? Why you say you can't get up and stretch?
Because let's say you're a person like me.
Yes.
Well, of all of this, you're well tight up and weak. Weakness, tightness. And even the stretch that I was doing a while ago was rather painful.
Where was it painful? What stretch were you doing, by the way? Tell the listeners.
Pull back. Okay, so I'm pulling back and down.
So she's retracting both shoulders, right? And then down. So where hurts?
Which is strange enough. Right here says hurting under the arms.
The back of the arm.
Yes, and some places are on my back.
And that's the muscle imbalance. That is the thing with when you have cross syndrome, there's muscle imbalance. So when you're pulling back now, your head was still out. So you have to bring your chin back.
That just kill me.
Right. So before we even do that, before we even do the strengthening, we may have to do stretching first. So what happens when you're tight?
Right. So how would I know that as a regular person?
I see your question.
Yeah.
I see you understand. I see what you're trying. I do understand. All right. So you may need to be evaluated at first.
Okay.
Right. But I'm sure you know what aspects of your upper body is tight though, because you may know that you have tight neck.
Yeah.
Right. So you might need to come in for an evaluation at the rehabilitation. It's you
I feel bad because I'm supposed to go, But,
All right. So you may need an evaluation, but there's certain general stretching that you should be able to do.
Okay.
Once you're cleared by your medical doctor and you don't have any issues that might prevent you from doing some of these exercises safely, the first thing you want to do is, ensure that you can turn your neck around in a circle in one direction, clockwise, and then anti-clockwise, right? Again, you have to be safe. I just did that and I felt a little dizzy.
Oh.
Right? So that's just because one of my muscles over this side is tight. And it's tight. You know why? Poor posture. In my office now, I have it set up where all my patients are to my right. And so every time a patient comes in, I'm going to the right. So now the right side of my neck is tight. Proper ergonomics is where I'm facing my patient. And so I need to talk to my office manager for her to sort that, sort that out. Right? Yeah. Right. And so you always have to make sure you have good range of motion. So you can do that. Then you can bend your neck down, bend your neck up. So looking up and then look down. Again, don't do these exercises unless you have been cleared by your doctor, because you might have a neck issue that this may make you worse.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And you tilt your ear to the right. Try to bring your ear down to the shoulder while pulling the shoulder down. Don't bring your shoulder up to your ear. Okay. Shoulder down. And then you bring the right ear down to the right shoulder and the left ear down to the left shoulder. And another one that is really good is where you turn your head to one side and then you kind of bring your forehead down to the ground. You feel the stretch on the opposite side?
I do.
And you turn to the right and bring your forehead down to the ground. You feel that? So you're stretching the levator scapulae. Those are the muscles that will lift in the shoulder.
Wow.
Ladies and gentlemen, Alice is touching her neck. So
stretch.
All those muscles are important. Not to even, if you were to stretch your pecs, that's another thing too. The lower back, your hip flexors. People always say, how do I stretch my hip flexors?
Yeah, how do I stretch?
All right, so you remember when you used to go to school and you go PE? And you're down on one knee and one knee up, almost like you're right. Yeah. And then you put your hand on your back and you lean forward, or you put your hand over your head and you lean forward.
PE. Yeah.
So you're stretching your hip flexors when you do that. You can also stretch your hip flexors on a bed or a table where you stand sideways and you bring up your knee and put it on the table, kind of sideways to the backish, and then you kind of bend the other knee, so you're stretching the hip flexors.
Okay.
Or you can have somebody stretch you. You ever see those athletes when they're lying on your tummy and a massage therapist stretch them?
But right. So all of this is prevention.
Right. Well, prevention would be, thank you for bringing me back to the ergonomic. Prevention would be avoid the bad posture. Don't sit for long. Make sure you stretch all the time.
Okay.
Right?
Okay, stretching. Okay, good. So, and where we are at now,
right,
is the treatment.
Is a treatment. A part of the treatment is stretching.
Okay.
Because what would happen is with the cross syndromes, one set of muscles are tight, one set of muscles are weak. And so you have to stretch out the muscles that are tight and strengthen the muscles that are weak to see if you can bring back your posture.
Rehab.
Rehab is such a beautiful... The body is so amazing.
Listen,
you say if you don't use it, you lose it.
All of we just need to go to rehab. Whether we are perfectly whatever or not,
yes,
we still need rehab because we need to know how to maintain that.
Absolutely.
That posture.
I like that.
Yeah, man.
Preventive medicine.
Yes. From one of our sponsors, the Rehabilitation Institute of the Caribbean. Providing medical care for function and performance. Winchester MRI, Jamaica's first choice for MR imaging. Denk Pharma, a combination of key active ingredients designed to boost the body's natural defense. And Almighty Studios, a recording studio where we create worship music to praise and to worship and to serve. And from when you hear me ring out this, you must know that we're at the end of our program. We ain't got time for anything else. I'm so sorry, but thank you, listeners. Thank you to the engineer, producers, Power 106.
Yes.
Everybody out there. See you next week, same time, same place. Blessings.
And remember to stretch and strengthen.
Motion is lotion, you know.
Bye, guys.